So earlier today, I did a video and addressed all the changes that we could potentially see to this $1.9 trillion stimulus package. Well, these changes that we're about to see are even bigger than even I was predicting. So before I get into some of these changes that are currently being discussed, I just want to ask you one favor. Could you do me a favor? Go ahead and smash that like button. It really does help out the channel. So here's what we know. Before I get into all the details, I first just going to give you a quick little rundown or overview of what we are currently seeing. First, we have centrist Democrats who want to reduce the unemployment benefits from $400 a week down to $300. They also want to tighten the eligibility of the $1,400 stimulus checks. They say it's going to too many people. We have progressives who say they want to extend the unemployment benefits all the way into September, and they want to expand the eligibility for the $1,400 stimulus checks. We know Bernie Sanders says the Senate will have a roll call vote on the $15 federal minimum wage provision. House progressives want to overrule the Senate parliamentarians' rule and get the $15 minimum wage passed, but we have Senate Democrat Joe Manchin, who does not support this. Joe Manchin also wants longer unemployment benefits at $300 per week. And then we got Chuck Schumer, who says we could see a vote on all this as soon as Wednesday. So, do you see why we have so many problems? We got some that say one thing, others that say another. But all these people are Democrats. We just have some centrist Democrats, we have some more progressives. And that is leading to all the fighting within the Democratic Party. And this is something that is going to take a little bit of time to hammer out all the details. Right now, we have 13 days, less than 13 days to get this bill passed. If it's not passed, there will be millions of people that currently are on unemployment who would lose all their benefits. Yes, I'm still hopeful that Congress can get this bill passed, get their act together, and finally get something done. However, they have to do this before the expiration of the unemployment benefits, which is March 14th. Some say there's still a chance, but others say there is a chance we blow right through this deadline. So let's see what happens. Some progressives are saying that it would be better for the American people to lose out on possibly 1 week of unemployment benefits in exchange for getting not $300 per week, but $400. That's currently what's in discussions. If this group of centrist Democrats get their way and the Senate goes and passes a bill that takes away that $400 per week unemployment boost and moves it to $300, they're saying that also leaves the door open to pulling back some of the $1,400 stimulus checks that are going to people that could make up to $200,000 per year as a couple. So right now they say this might come down to a huge debate. Progressives over centrists. That's going to be a big issue. Right now, the majority of progressives are not really the senior members of Congress. So because of that, yes, Bernie Sanders is, he has a lot of power in the Senate. However, some are saying that Joe Manchin actually has more power than Bernie Sanders at this point, which is crazy, but that's currently the way people are looking at. Also, this bill from the Senate would have to pass the House. And this is what a lot of people are saying is going to be difficult because there's the centrists in the Senate that are going to get their way. That's Joe Manchin and a group pretty much similar to him. However, once it gets kicked back over to the House, then you have a whole group of progressives. I think you have like 50 some progressives in the House that if they all vote the same way and they do not agree with what the Senate kicked back to the House, they will vote no, which then it means they side with Republicans, and then Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and President Biden do not have enough votes to pass this roughly or current $1.9 trillion stimulus package. And this is where some are saying this is where we're going to see problems. Is we need the Senate and the House to be on the exact same page, and right now they're not. Progressives in the House are pretty much running the show, and what Republicans are saying, and this is just hearsay, or I'm just going to say this is kind of a Republican point of view, is Republicans are saying Nancy Pelosi is paying off progressives using certain provisions like a $15 minimum wage, which is one of the reasons why it's still in the bill. This is why they are getting $400 per week in unemployment benefits, and the $1,400 stimulus checks are going to people that are in prison. Republicans are saying this is just Nancy Pelosi's way of paying off progressives to get them to vote for this bill. But again, we will see what happens because right now it is a fight. Just because the Senate figures out a way to satisfy the Senate Democrats, this doesn't mean this will satisfy progressives in the House. And this is where we're going to have issues. If they vote against this bill once it goes back to the House, then it definitely will not pass and we will miss the deadline. So, now I'm all for getting this bill passed and getting it passed as quickly as possible because I hate driving down the street and seeing so many people, just sitting on the side of the road with the sign because they are unemployed, they do not have a place to live, they do not have any food, they just need help. I hate seeing that. I also hate seeing that every time I, go down, some certain streets, you see the food lines are just packed. There's people waiting for food, and sometimes there's not enough food, so they have to ration the food that they're getting. Which again, it's a very difficult situation that we're in. But this is something that the only way we're going to get this figured out is we have to provide more stimulus, and we need to do it now. Now, what we know is that Democrats have all the power right now in Congress. However, they have so much power, and I stated this earlier, and I've stated this ever since Democrats won the Georgia Senate runoff back in January, which is almost 2 months ago now, which is crazy. But ever since that day, I said it is going to be difficult to get another bill passed simply because Democrats are going to have all the power. It doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican. It just matters that if you have all the power, it makes it very difficult because every single member of every single Democratic lawmaker is trying to get their amendments passed. And that makes it very difficult because every single person is putting their amendments in. Some are going to contradict the other, which is exactly what is happening. So we will see what happens. But right now, this is just taking way too long. And the American people are frustrated. And I bet you are as well. What we know is the chances of this $1,400 stimulus check going to less people is actually less likely than seeing that $400 per week unemployment boost going down to $300. So, just to kind of put you in the direction that we're seeing this kind of stimulus talks turn, we are seeing that, yes, unemployment benefits are going to drop from $400 down to $300. That's most likely what we're going to see, but yet you will see the $1,400 stimulus checks stay the same. There is going to have to be some compromise. What we are hearing is right now centrist Democrats in the Senate are trying to get everything they want. And right now it's pretty much being put on President Biden to try to negotiate with them, get them on board, get them back in favor of supporting this $1.9 trillion stimulus package, get them in favor of supporting the $1,400 stimulus checks as it stands from the House bill, and get them on board with supporting this $400 per week in unemployment benefits. However, they do not want to be on board for everything. So, it's really messed up, but for those of you that are on the edge of possibly getting a stimulus check or not, you should be safe. For those of you that are currently hoping for $400 per week instead of $300 per week for unemployment benefits, that's what's currently in question, but my guess is we will probably know more tomorrow morning. Earlier today, we did get word that many Democrats were not on board with the state and local government funding either. And this is just ridiculous. This is something now. The state and local governments, do they need $350 billion? According to all reports, no, they don't. But this is something that Nancy Pelosi has been pushing for. This is something that Chuck Schumer has been fighting for almost a year. So this is one thing that they say has to be passed. So if it comes down to Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer versus centrist Democrats, chances are Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are going to get their way. But right now, President Biden, according to the recent reports, he was able to get some people back on track. There are still a handful of Democrats that do not want the $350 billion going to state and local government funding. However, at this time, they would not vote against the bill if this was included, as long as some other provisions were actually more in favor of what their agenda is. So, for example, Joe Manchin does not want to see $350 billion go to state and local government funding. However, he'd like to see, in exchange for supporting this, he would like to see the unemployment benefits go from $400 down to $300, and the $1,400 stimulus checks go to people that only make that only make $50,000 as an individual and $100,000 as a couple. That's pretty strict, but that's currently what we're hearing. There's multiple reports on that as well. Also, and here's a big one, and this is a big one. I want to explain why in just a second, but some lawmakers are currently saying that they do not believe schools need an additional $170 billion. And that's big. And so I was kind of curious why there wasn't a lot of reports on this, but then it went into more details after I pretty much read the article. But then it went into a little bit more detail saying that the reason why lawmakers don't want this is because there are now reports that the schools have not received any of the funding, any of the $82 billion from the previous $900 billion stimulus package. So lawmakers are questioning why, if schools have not even received the $82 billion that we already approved, why should we approve another $170 billion when that money could just be sitting there? So again, the longer we wait to get this stimulus package passed, the chances of it passing at $1.9 trillion is very unlikely. And this is something that multiple Republicans have been saying for a while, is we have to wait. Let's wait and see this stimulus package, the previous $900 billion stimulus package. Let's wait and see this money get actually into the economy. Send it to schools, use it for rental assistance, have people spend their $600 stimulus checks, which I think the majority of people did. And let's see this unemployment benefit actually go through its course. Let's let it last 11 weeks and let's see what happens after. That's what Republicans are saying. Democrats say, no, we can't do that. So right now, there are more and more reports that keep coming out of how much money has yet to be spent. And this is big. This is big because it's not how much money has been spent, it's how much money has not been spent, has been just sitting at the government, which they already allocated to certain purposes, and it hasn't even been issued. That's becoming a big issue for many lawmakers. And with each report, lawmakers question whether or not the size of the stimulus package is even doable. Is this the right idea? Is this a good idea? Or is it too large? And here's another thing, and this makes matters even worse. The February jobs report, which is going to give us the new unemployment rate, this is going to come out on Friday. This Friday. Okay? So in 4 days, we're going to see the February jobs report. It's going to come out in the morning. And now, here's what I want to address. If we see the unemployment rate drop, centrist Democrats are going to side more with Republicans, saying that this could trigger a drop in the entire stimulus package. And if this happens, let's hope we get something done before that. But chances are Chuck Schumer is wrong. We're not going to vote on this on Wednesday. Chances are this would probably be voted on towards the end of this week. But let's hope the Senate gets something done, because if they don't, and we see the unemployment rate drop significantly, which I don't know if it will, if we see it drop significantly and jobs are starting to come back, then we possibly might lose pieces of legislation all because of that. So I don't want to worry you. I don't want you to be scared, but what we know on Friday is going to be huge. This week, and again, I know I said this last week, this is going to be a pivotal week. Every single week until we see the stimulus package actually get passed is going to be a pivotal week. However, this is going to be huge. What we see happen throughout this week, leading up until Friday. Friday is the day that it's going to be like everything's just going to rush to the end of this week. And if we see the unemployment rate drop, honestly, I have a feeling we will see this stimulus package go from 1.9 trillion, most likely down to 1.6. I'm just saying that's most likely what's going to happen. There are some reports out there. I'm not going to say they are really trustworthy. It's not like the Washington Post or something like that, or The Hill or Politico. But there are some reports out there that do state that there are multiple centrist Democrats that are waiting for the unemployment numbers to come out so that they have a little bit more on their side. Because if the numbers drop, then they can say we don't need that much money for state and local governments. We don't need that many weeks of unemployment benefits. We do not need to provide a $1,400 stimulus check to all those people because the jobs are coming back. So again, that's currently what we're hearing right now. But as always, as I know more, I promise I'll share more. Hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on. And I'll see you guys on the next one.